welcome in. So you just got me tonight, going solo. You may just have Shep next week, so we got to tag team this a little bit since both had some prior obligations. But I thought tonight would be fun, so we're gonna do like kind of a shorter one. But I wanted to walk you through kind of what it looks like to progress your bourbon drinking throughout the night. So we've all been to bottle shares, or just had a night at home where we wanted to drink more than one drink, kind of progress through some things. So, how do you approach it? There's a couple different ways. You can start with your favorite and just kind of work from there. Um, you can proof down, which I've heard of some people doing. Like, they just hit it hard and then they kind of ease it out through the night. Or you can do what we're going to do, which is I like to proof up. So I like to start with something to warm up the palate and then just gradually find pours and drinks that I think where I end, pretty high, ready for bed. So that's the goal. So we're gonna talk through that. I'm going to give you a bottle in each category, and give you some alternatives and see what you have. But we're gonna start out. It's in the 90 proof range. I like to start out not below 90. A lot of people start with Buffalo Trace or Eagle Rare, Blanton's, which is fine. You can start with one of those. For me, I have an Elijah Craig. It's a single barrel, private barrel, 94 proof, 8-year. Really good. It's a good starter. I feel like it's pretty complex for a 94 proof. Kind of warms up that palate, gets you going, get a little bit of flavor on there. Like I said, you have some other alternatives if you like some of those Buffalo Trace products. A lot of people will warm up with that. You can do, if you want to warm up with a rye, some of the mixtures are in the lower 90s. You may get below 90 if you want, but I usually start with at least a 90 proof, closer to the 95 range. And then that's a pretty short pour for me. Then we get into start moving our way up. Usually do 100 proof or, a Bald and Bond. After that, so the one I picked here is the Old Fitz. I really like this bottle. A lot of people think it's overpriced. It's, $60. 7-year, 100 proof. I like it better than the 8 or 9 years. So if I'm picking a 100 proofer to keep kind of moving up the ladder, so to speak, I think that's a great one. I highly recommend. It might not be one that you can find very easily. So if you're looking for another Bald and Bond, the Heaven Hill Bald and Bond is pretty readily available, under $50. And that one's really good. You can get a Knob Creek if you're a Jim Beam fan. The 9, 12, any of the ages are 100 proof, and so those are really good. Let's see, you could even do some of the Old Forester Black Label if you happen to come across one of those. All those are really great. You just continue to enhance the profile. So the goal for me as I go, every sip has a purpose. You only have so many drinks in a night, or you should only have so many drinks in a night. And so you want to make them all count, even if it's lower proof, higher proof, whatever it is. You want to try stuff you haven't tried before if you had a bottle share. But I always try to just proof up a little bit as I go. The next one is the one I actually have poured up. And it showcases double oaks and a rye. So for me, this Pursuit double oak rye is just phenomenal. It's 108 proof. And so kind of getting into the 1.8 to 112 range. Turns out I have a lot of things that fit that category. I do love some double oaks though. So I know you may have a Peerless, or you may have a short barrel, or you may have some other ones that I like. I'm trying to look over my shoulder. I have a handful of double oaks that I really enjoy. But Pursuit and the rye kind of rises to the top for me. This happens to be a pick. The blend of Ophelia is probably one of the best double oak ryes I've had. But 108 proof, and I know if you're familiar with the Van Winkle story, he thought 108 was the perfect proof, and I will say that it drinks really well. Love double oaked, love rye, love it together. So we'll pause here and just have a little sip. Man, it's so good. It just coats the mouth, gives you some rye spice. gives you a really good hug, lingers, has a good nose. It just hits all the boxes. So now you're 3 pours in. You've enjoyed everything so far. If you don't want a double oak, or if you don't want a rye, if you have access to something like the Fiddler Toasted, if you happen to be on the East Coast, or if you can get to a Barrel King, think some of the barrel stuff, some of the King's Family. Think of Blue Note. There's a handful that are right in that 113 range that are really good. The Cock of the Walk, if you don't have a lot of preservation, the Cock of the Walk is really good if you run across it for 110 or less. Highly recommend. So there's a lot of good options at 110 proof that you may not have had before. And so now you're ready to start moving up a little bit. This is when, especially if you're at a bottle share, you're probably going to have access to someone's picks. I highly recommend you trying other people's picks. I just mentioned Blue Note. I had this something blue from NCF pulled out. I put that back just because it was a little bit different proof than I was looking for. I have one from Big Mike here. You guys are familiar with the Whiskey Warrior Barrel Club. This one checks in at 118.4 proof, so almost to the 120. Dream Spirits, love some Dream Spirits. Got something coming up there I'll talk about soon. Potentially, I may not, but my friends do. I want to help them out. So we'll talk about that as it goes and pump them up a little bit. But Dream Spirits puts out some really good stuff. So look for some picks. A lot of the picks are barrel strength, cask strength, barrel proof, same thing, all that, right? So they're all in that. A lot of them are in that 120 and above, and just super delicious. They pick them because of the profile. No different for that, when we go do a pick, we're picking profile. And so something that they enjoyed. A lot of us have very similar palates. And so look for someone's picks. So try some picks, 115 to 120 range. And then so you're 4 in. Depends on the night. You should only have a couple left in you. You may have, if you're using a mini Glen, you may have a lot more than that, or you're definitely starting to feel it by this point. So you want to get a couple of quality things in that maybe you don't have a lot of access to. And so for me, I can't get enough of the 25 Stag. This is 25D, 129 proof. And so we're almost to that 130 range. So we went from 94 to 130. But man, these are so good. I know some are better than others. I would drink any of them, but 25D kind of rises to the top for me. I know everybody's going to say 22A. I haven't had that one yet, but man, it's just so good. I could drink that. E.H. Taylor barrel proof, 127 proof, straight from the barrel. It's 126 proof. Old Forester green and blue labels are in the 130 proof. There's a lot of really good options right there that you may not have a lot of access to, that you may run across in a store, or like a bar to try, or run across at a bottle share. If you do, I highly recommend that you try one or two of those. Careful, proof's starting to catch up to you. You've warmed yourself up nicely, but you're starting to get into the pretty high proof stuff. And so now that you've pretty much that's probably the one when you were eyeing your lineup, you wanted to make sure you got to that. But it doesn't stop there. I pulled one in particular that is almost 140 proof. This is where we're going to get into some ALWs. If you're not a fan of ALWs, I recommend you give it a try. This is the 17-year Penelope. Just got the 18-year. I have some King's Family. We were talking about Jacob's Pardon the other night. Those are all in that, 138 to 145 range. It sounds really high. It is really high, dangerously high because it doesn't drink that high. But man, if you don't have a lot of access to ALWs or don't own a lot of ALWs, you run across a few at a bottle share or out and about. I highly recommend. It was just a really good profile. 99% corn most of the time. A few of them, like the Larrikin I have, is 85-15. But high corn, really good. really sweet. Just really great flavor profile. So you can, within 6 pours, you can get from around 94 to um, about 140. There's a few that are higher than that. Um, and we skipped a lot. I mean, you can see behind me, there's so many options, so many things. If you haven't seen the blendery, if you haven't run across, you may run across. So I would tell you, probably outside of this setup, where you're proofing up as you go, looking for things you haven't tried. Another 108 proof option would have been on Elijah Craig 15. Another, the blenderies are in the 115 to 120s. If you happen to have one of those are all very unique. If you get to run across one of those, you see Conviction, some of the double oaks. I didn't really get into cigar blends. If you're having a cigar there's a handful. That Old Elk you kind of see right there. Magnus, there's some really, really good cigar blends out there that complement a cigar really well. And so I would just recommend that you, my method is to start low to high. I may have more than 6, depends, but I still kind of keep that method. And I always look for things like picks. I always look for things I don't have access to. And I try to bring stuff that I think other people don't have access to. We probably need to cover that real quick. Don't be the guy that brings Elijah Craig small batch to every bottle share. Try to bring something that you're proud of, bring something that you want to share. We do this for the friendships. I hope I do. The friendships and the shares and the people we meet and the things we get to try from others and things they get to try from us. And so last time I was able to take some things that other people hadn't had, really appreciative, and vice versa. They had things I'd never tried before. Just really cool. So I recommend that you put some thought into what you take. Think about your proofing up method, offer some different proofs. But that's a successful night with bourbon, I think, is starting low, ending high, taking your time, using a mini blend, looking for unique things. But I'd be curious to hear what you thought. So what's your method? So are you low to high to low, start high, end high? Like what do you do? Are you looking for picks? Are you looking for allocations only? Are you looking for recommendations, projects from people? Like, what are you looking for when you go out and about? And same thing at a restaurant. So how do you do? It's kind of a little quick side note, but I'm really curious because I run into this in town. There's only a couple of places that actually have what I would say is good bourbon, and an affordable price. So is that a factor when you go out? Do you try at this point to drink straight bourbon when you go out to a restaurant? Or have you resided yourself to the fact you're probably going to get a mixed drink, knowing that all your good bourbons at home? And if so, like, what do you? I've kind of resided myself to getting mixed drinks, most places, but I'll go look at the bar and say, you probably make that with Maker's Mark. I would like to have that Wild Turkey Rare Breed. And they'll always do that. And so you can at least kind of spice up your mixed drink a little bit. Recommend that. But be just curious, like when you guys go out and about, what do you drink? And then when you go to shares, kind of what's your method? We'd love to hear from you guys. We miss Shep. We'll be back next week. And look forward to the comments. We'll read through all those. We'd love to have some interaction. And I'm not drinking through all these tonight, but I'm going to finish up this double or try. So I hope you guys have a good night. Cheers.